We know that inclusive education works most effectively when we take the time to get to know each individual as a child of God. Tonight, I'm pleased that you will have the chance to get to know Tim and Laura Paauw, who fill a number of roles as parents and advocates. And Tim is also the principal of Jenison Christian School. I'm grateful that Tim and Laura are willing to share their story with us tonight. Before Tim comes up on stage, we will watch a short video to introduce us to the Paauw family, including their son, Nolan.
At first glance, Nolan is someone who you can define really easily based on his autism.
Say good morning.
He's a kid that doesn't hang out as a friend the way you and I would.
Can you shake hands?
That's what makes him stand out at first.
Music has kind of always captured his interest.
It's his thing. You know, something about the sound could take him from a screaming tantrum that we couldn't solve to all of a sudden this cuddly, cute Nolan. That's the part he engages the most with during a church service when he is able to be in church.
With Nolan, it was hard.
He struggles in the church setting.
Okay, you ready? Church time.
Being confined to a chair and standing and sitting, it doesn't always work well for him.
Doesn't process for him.
No.
Church. Can you say church?
With all the sounds going on, he processes everything 10 times more than the rest of us. And it gets overwhelming and he loses it and he melts down. Nolan is a full-time job. And we'd have to explain to his twin sister, our daughter Catherine, this is part of the autism. He can't sit still here, so they're gonna duck out and go to a room for a while. And next thing you know, you have another loud kid. And so a lot of times we'd find our whole family sitting in that back room.
I think it got to the point where sitting in church as a family became more about the stress of keeping him quiet, contained, than it was about actual worship.
And we'd get in the car on the ride home and kind of look at each other and go, why did we come to church?
It's not just sitting in worship. How does he fit into a mold that isn't maybe the most accommodating for him at all times? We met with our pastors and with Barb Newman and kind of said, look, here's where we struggle. We need help.
Our pastor looked across the table at Laura and I and said, this is the body of Christ. We want to help however we can to help Nolan know Jesus Christ. We didn't have answers that day at the table. We're figuring out life with Nolan every day, but it opened up the door to talk about Nolan as a whole. When you get to know Nolan for Nolan, you start to see a lot of beauty inside him. You start to see a kid who loves everybody, despite how they react to him.
He's just a happy, happy kid.
Yeah. That's my boy. Thank you. Friends, it's a tremendous blessing to be able to be up here tonight and spend a few moments with you to share a bit about our family story, and specifically how the CLC network has made our life, both in our church, in our school communities, not just possible, but incredible. And I'm Tim Paauw. I'm the principal at Jenison Christian School. I've had the distinct privilege of serving in that role as the school leader there for over 8 years now. And I can assure you, we are one of the CLC 70 schools that Elizabeth was talking about. We're a partnering school with the CLC. And I can assure you, we have called on that partnership countless times. And I have seen the blessings of students who have been included because of that partnership. And I have seen our school community at Jenison Christian School grow in our awareness and grow in our understanding and grow together for the better. And so that's been a tremendous blessing on my professional life. But as you saw in the video, I'm also the proud father of a beautiful boy named Nolan. and his amazing twin sister, Catherine. And we do have a third. Our son, Evan, is 4. He's a fireball, and I am now convinced that God gives you a youngest just to keep you humble. But Evan is amazing as well. He has also been diagnosed with autism, and he's also very limited in his communication ability. And my wife, Laura, is here tonight, and both she and I, on behalf of families like ours, we want to just say thank you to all of you. We want to say thank you to you for the support we get, for the encouragement we have through our friends and family, and we see it in the heartbeat of the CLC network regularly. And so we want to take a personal time just to say thank you for that. I get asked a lot in my role, what is inclusive education? What does it mean? What does it look like? And here's the short answer. It's when community is operating at its best, because the whole is telling every member, you belong here with us. You see, the Bible talks about it. It's 1 Corinthians 12. A lot of you are familiar with that. It talks about the body of Christ. And the Bible uses this beautiful picture, this analogy, that every part of the body, every one of us, is valued and brings its own unique abilities. And so your body is healthiest when every part works together. That's when we're strong. And so when I answer what is inclusive education, I come back to that. And I say inclusive education is when we as a body recognize that every person belongs, they bring value, and together then we're healthy. So that sounds great, right? And I would believe that if I interviewed every one of you, you would all say the same thing I would say to that and say, yeah, I believe that in my heart, and I like what you're saying. And yet, difference challenges us. When we find things that are different in life from what we're used to, our norm, it puts a challenge in that picture. And it can put us in an uncomfortable spot. And I want to give you a couple of examples to think on with that. So let's say you're in church on Sunday, and your pastor or your priest is giving the message. The social norm, we know, is to sit, to listen, to process. It's that thought process of being quiet, taking it in. Let's say you're in that seat, and from behind you, you hear this hooting and hollering. Ah! It's loud. Makes you jump, right? Let's be honest. In that moment, you've got to wonder, how do I respond to that? What do I do? Let me give you another example. Let's say you're a kindergartner, you're a 5-year-old, and you're 5 years old, and your teacher brings you to carpet time and says, and here's a classic, and I love this, and it's the best classroom management: crisscross applesauce, hands in the lap. We're going to read, and I want you to be a good listener. And you're in your carpet square, and you're listening carefully, and 2 seats away from you, there's a little boy or a little girl who's flapping their arms and maybe hooting and hollering. And you're 5, and you have to figure out, what do I do with that? This kid isn't listening. This kid is clearly not following the directions. That's what I'm talking about, right? That's different. That makes us uncomfortable. Friends, I'm going to tell you that the CLC network is the group that provides those answers, that works in the Christian communities and in our churches and in our schools to help support the answers to those questions. How do you respond? What's appropriate? What does it look like? Our family, we're welcomed in church, we're welcomed in school because of that effort, because of that awareness piece. 2013, I remember it, October 31, like it was yesterday. That's the day that Nolan received his diagnoses at Helen DeVos Children's Hospital. Came after a 3-hour appointment with several specialists. Laura and I rode home in that car with Nolan in the back seat, looking at each other, and we'd just been told, your son has autism. And we were told, we don't know the cause, and we don't know that there's ever going to be a cure. And life changed. For us, We didn't know what life had ahead at that point. But what I can tell you is our dream didn't change. Our dream was simple. Here it was. We had twins. We wanted our twins to be in the same classroom. We wanted our twins to be together in the same school. And we wanted, on that very car ride home, and we still want it today, for Nolan to know something about love. We want him to know what love is. We wanted him more than anything, we still do. We want him to know that we love him, Laura and I. We want him to know that his classmates, his peers, the people around him, love him. And more importantly than that, we want Nolan to know, just like every other kid, that Jesus loves him. This I know. That's the most important thing in our heart. It made it easy for us to chase the dream of what we wanted for a school. So Laura and I are Westsiders. We live a mile from Westside Christian School. And with that dream in our mind, we picked up the phone, we called Westside Christian School, and we explained to Maria Bolsema, the special ed director there, here's our circumstance, here's our picture. Can we make this happen? Maria Bolsema called CLC Network. CLC Network and Westside Christian School called some meetings with us. Never once, not once, did they ever ask us questions where it would lead to a comment of, this isn't possible, we can't do that. We never heard that. What we heard was, how can we make this successful and beautiful for you? And I'm here to tell you we're on year 3 at Westside Christian School, and it's beautiful. It's successful for our family. It is possible, and it's incredible. You see, here's what it looks like. Here's what happens. They guided our family through awareness for the school. They actually talked to Laura and I and said, would you be willing to write an 8-page book about your son Nolan? We'd like to share it with every kid in the school. We'd like to be able to send it home to parents so they can read it to their kids. And we'd like people to know a little bit about autism, what it looks like through him, and also who he is beyond the autism. So in those 8 pages, we kept it short, like a kid's storybook. My wife's a first grade teacher, so she was the author. And it looked like this. Nolan flaps his arms and makes weird noises. He does. It's real. Nolan likes pizza. Nolan likes friends, but sometimes he doesn't know how to ask friends to play with him. And you can kind of gauge this picture book going through, right? So let me tell you where that goes. The first week of school, Laura's in the car dropping off kids. And as she's dropping off our kids, like every other car there, this little blonde boy comes running up to our minivan on day 2 or 3, wraps his arms around our Nolan, and says, Nolan, you and I are going to be best friends. I love pizza too. Right? So it was like, he's got a friend. I'll tell you. Owen, I emailed his parents that night and said, your son is a hero in our book. Owen played on the tire swing. They were tire swing buddies all year, every recess. They were out there swinging together. It was true. They became good friends. The other thing they did in this process, CLC Network, encouraged Westside Christian, give Tim and Laura the chance to talk to the teachers. Let them share what their dream is. Let them talk with the teachers. Let them share what their expectations of the school are. Let them talk to the teachers and let them share what they don't expect. And let that be a part before Nolan and the Paauws start at the school so that some of those fears can be relieved a little bit. You see, here's the thing. I'm a principal. I've been an educator for many years. Most of us think of school, we think of academic learning. That's our priority. What Laura and I had for Nolan was academic learning is important, but that was a blip on our radar. What was important to us, like I shared, we wanted Nolan to have a social connection. We wanted social learning to happen. We wanted Nolan to have faith formation. We wanted his heart to grow in Jesus. That was important to us. So we had the opportunity to sit with the whole staff and say, look, this is our priority, and we love you no matter what happens here. And Maria Bolsamo, the special ed director, asked us, again through CLC Networks coaching and consulting, CLC was heavy in this picture. They encouraged Maria, ask the Paauws what the newsletter should look like for a son who doesn't talk. I don't get to ask my son how his day went. I don't get to ask him, what'd you do at recess? I don't get those conversations. But I get a picture book from Maria Bolsamo every week on Friday. And it explains what Nolan did, and it's pictures of him with friends, and it's pictures of him in chapel. And I got to tell you, as a dad, it gives me something to talk to him about. And on week 1, she sent this home as a test run with us. So this is what I'm going to do, send you these pictures. There was a picture of our Nolan in the front row of an all-school chapel, dancing. It was actually a little video, dancing away. Laura and I couldn't believe it. This is not our Nolan. We couldn't get him, you saw in the video, we couldn't get him into church. So we said to Maria, like, we don't know what you did, but that's incredible. And that blows our mind. I'll tell you where that led to Nolan being able over time, because of the training and the work they did, to being able to sit in church with us for the first time, because he was getting more and more used to that. He actually can sit through a good chunk of church with us before his stamina runs out, before he gets overwhelmed. But that's all part of that social and peer training that goes on. Here's a fun piece of this picture. This will give you the success story. Just last month, Laura and I got an invitation in the mail for a birthday party for Nolan. One of his classmates, Brendan. Now, Brendan just invited Nolan as one of the guys. But when we saw the birthday invitation, we had tears in our eyes, and we were so proud. And the parents called us Brendan's parents called us, said, what would you need and what would you like? We want to make, Brendan wants Nolan there. And would you guys be willing to come help if that's needed? So I went, and I got to be a part of that birthday party. So Nolan's there, and there's a piñata. My Nolan's a big kid and loves candy. Doesn't have a clue what a piñata is, so you can imagine what that's like. But so Nolan gets in line, and I scoot him to the back because Nolan's a visual learner. He learns from watching. He watches 7 kids before him whack this piñata with all their might. As you can imagine, my Nolan probably isn't the most coordinated kid. I gave him the bat, and I said, all right, bud, your turn. 7 boys, second grade boys, lined up along that stretch and cheered, Nolan, Nolan, Nolan. He walked up with that bat, and I got to tell you, he went, and these guys went crazy. I'm telling you, I honestly was probably as proud as a parent would be if their son won a World Series. So the next kid walks up and just creams that piñata. And a Laffy Taffy goes shooting out, the first piece of, like, Nolan's first knowledge of what's inside. I think he claimed it too, actually. But the birthday boy, Brendan, smiles and says as loud as he can, he couldn't help it, we stuffed the whole thing with Laffy Taffy because that's Nolan's favorite candy. Friends, that is inclusive education, and that is what the CLC Network does. As you saw in the video, church was a hard part of the week for us, and we struggled to figure it out. We called on the CLC Network. My church blessed us with the opportunity to partner with the CLC Network. We formed a committee called the Connected Ministries Committee. I got to be a part of that. The people on that committee met regularly, and they started sorting through with the CLC team. What can we do? What barriers can we take down? How do we make this work? Through just that work alone, through that partnership and the people around that table, Laura and I made all kinds of friends at church. We found our number one support at church through those faces, those people, which carried beyond. Our babysitters came out of church. We found a place we could trust. And so we were extremely blessed through that church piece as well. So what I want to share with you is an outcome of that on the church side. Nolan went from connected to school, not going in church at all, to being able to sit with us for part of it, Through the work of CLC Network and our church, Nolan eventually was pushed up on the stage during one of these Christmas singing things with all the kids, right? And Laura and I did that, and it's kind of outside our boundaries a bit, and it was like, okay, let's just hope this goes well. If he lifts up his shirt, let's just kind of pray him through this, right? He went up there, he watched every kid next to him do the motions to the songs. Nolan was about 2 seconds behind on every motion, but he was beaming. His smile was ear to ear, and he did it, and he was dancing. And for me, that fulfilled a big piece of my heart's desire for him. That was Jesus Christ coming to life in his life, and a place that was demonstrating that for him. And I got to tell you, that is what building inclusive communities looks like. So I just want to be the person to verify tonight for you, friends, that is happening all over the place through building inclusive communities because of the CLC network. And it's a huge deal to people like us. I want to say, because of the CLC network, I know what it's like to walk into a community and watch high fives from every adult and every kid for a nonverbal autistic son who hoots in church and flaps his arms in the carpet. I've seen it. I'm a part of it. I experience it daily. It is such a special thing. So I want to wrap up by saying thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart and Laura's heart for all that you directly do to impact our lives. Thank you for supporting the CLC network. Thank you for being here tonight on this special night of celebration. And I want to make it very clear that you are the ones that are building inclusive communities everywhere. In our book, you are the real champions tonight. So thank you for being here.